This week in Jamaica Now, a 4-year-old child has become the 7th COVID patient to die in Jamaica, and the number of confirmed cases is climbing. St. Catherine lockdown extended, the island-wide curfew tightened, and call centers have been ordered closed. Jamaicans stuck in Antigua coming home under pilot program for controlled re-entry of citizens. 46 deportees arrived in Kingston from the United States. Father stabbed to death allegedly by his son over empty bottles. And
where is Jasmine Deen?
Opposition senator uses the upper house to demand update on missing university student. I'm Damian Mitchell and this is Jamaica Now. It was another difficult week for Jamaica in the COVID fight. 2 fatalities days apart with a 4-year-old child among the casualties. A saddened Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton announced the death of the 4-year-old child on Thursday night. 3 days earlier, the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa Mackenzie, confirmed that a retired university lecturer, Professor Tara Dasgupta, had succumbed.
It's with a deep sense of my own, sympathies, both to the family that I know personally, and for Professor who taught me when I was in university. It is really very with great sorrow that we see, we note his passing. And my condolences to the family, to the entire university fraternity, who I know have suffered a great loss.
The professor had a recent travel history. However, no detail was provided on the child who died at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James. The death of the child has pushed to 7 the number of COVID patients to die in Jamaica. And the number of coronavirus cases continue to rise, pushing past the 250 mark. On Monday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness renewed his appeal for people to stay at home. He also extended the St. Catherine curfew until next Wednesday, but added 2 shopping days following intense chaos last week. But despite the additional 2 days, there was chaos in the Old Capital on Wednesday. At the same time, the Prime Minister has tightened the island-wide curfew. It's now running daily from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. instead of 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
We have removed the alphabetic classification for movement, so everyone can move around on that day. But put it here this way, if I lived in St. Catherine, I would explore every means possible not to move. I have family that lives in St. Catherine, very close family. Still, my mother lives in St. Catherine. And my advice to her, stay home. And I'm giving all mothers in St. Catherine that advice.
And the Prime Minister has ordered all call centers closed. The Alorca call center in Portmore, St. Catherine has been the source of almost 3/4 of the confirmed cases in Jamaica. Some call center workers have been working from home, and Mr. Holness says all sites will now be closed for 14 days unless exempted.
We have said to the BPOs that the critical services, those that support the telecommunications, the banking, and the logistics and shipping, particularly those related to our operations as a country, that we will make exemptions and provisions for their operations, but those will be closely regulated. In fact, we are going to appoint one of our agencies along with the Ministry of Health to closely examine those minimum operations, because we don't want that minimum operation to be used as a guise for full operation.
In the meantime, the group of 43 Jamaican ship workers are to be brought home. Foreign Affairs Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith says contact has been made with the Morella cruise operated by TUI and the Jamaica High Commission in the UK.
They have the right to be repatriated at no cost to themselves in certain circumstances, and essentially that this is the obligation of the ship owner.
And as part of the pilot for the controlled re-entry of Jamaicans, 20 stranded students were flown home on Friday. They arrived on a flight from Antigua and Barbuda. The plane left Jamaica with a group of Antiguan and Montserratian students who were in Jamaica.
My family kept telling me to stay safe and to make sure I sanitize, use a mask, and stay safe so I could eventually come home. I felt very alone. I felt as though I was stuck, like there was no way to go. I just really, really wanted to go home because I prefer to be home with my family, especially during a crisis like this.
46 Jamaican deportees from the United States are now in a government quarantine facility in the corporate area. The deportees landed at Kingston's Norman Manley International Airport on Tuesday. They arrived on a charter flight. They were immediately taken to a corporate area hotel for processing before they were taken into quarantine. The deportees were sent back home because of criminal and immigration violations. U.S. President Donald Trump had warned that there would be visa sanctions of countries who did not accept their nationals. In the meantime, the U.S. President has signed an executive order temporarily suspending all immigration to America. Trump blamed the move on the new coronavirus pandemic that has devastated the U.S. It means Jamaicans and other nationals waiting to emigrate to the U.S. could be in for a long and uncertain future. A Grand Spend man has been arrested in connection with the stabbing death of his father. 48-year-old Dennis Brown Sr. was stabbed to death on Wednesday night, allegedly by his son. The police say it is reported that the son was in a fit of rage over the unauthorized sale of empty bottles. Residents recounted the horror that visited the Odman Lane home, where Brown Sr. watched as his 24-year-old attacker used a knife to inflict stab wounds to his body. They say not even the intervention of a respected neighbor could cool the temper of the accused, who allegedly used a ratchet knife to stab Brown Sr. twice in the chest. Opposition Senator Floyd Morris took to the floor of the Upper House on Friday to demand an update on the Jasmine Deen investigation. Jasmine Deen was last seen on February 27 this year.
And it's about 2 months now. 2 months now. And we haven't heard a word about Jasmine Deen. We haven't heard a word as to what is the latest with the investigation from the police. And we have heard that the police have taken into custody an individual about a month now. And if it is that they have taken in an individual for so long, under what basis would you be holding the individual for that long?
As far as I understand, the police continue in their investigations. I regret that we don't have an update for you today on that matter. What we can do is convey through Minister Samuda that there is a real need to hear something at this time. And I hope that in so doing I am not overstepping my lane, and that it is something that they can do without prejudicing the investigations which are underway.
And on Friday night, the police reported that 2 suspects in the Jasmine Deen investigation have now been charged with several offenses, including possession of identity information, unauthorized access to computer data, and larceny. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, more on Jamaica Together, our drive to comfort each other as we stay apart.
Me like Uno cannot wait until coronavirus gone about its business. Gone about its business. But in the meantime, people, just stay inside. Staying inside can mean the difference between life and death. Not rough to cage up in the house, but guess what? WhatsApp, IG, Netflix, read a book, practice some new dance move, sort out a new business plan, sort out some new plans, plan for the future, something. But just don't come out of your house unless you have to.
COVID-19 is something not to be messed with, and I think we all have to do our part in order to keep healthy and to protect Jamaica. It's not just about protecting you, but your family, your friends, fellow citizens, and we need to really work together. If we band together as a nation and a people, follow the guidelines and stay positive, we will get through this.
It doesn't matter who you are or where you live. We're in this thing together, the whole way. But remember, keep your distance. Jamaica, together.